How hard was it for early sci-fi authors to get published? Imagine trying to share stories about the future when no one really believed science fiction was serious literature. That's how it was for writers before the 1960s. Back then, science fiction was mostly seen as fun stories for teenagers or pulp entertainment. Publishers didn't think it was worth investing in because the audience was small and unpredictable. In the 1930s and 40s, most science fiction stories appeared in pulp magazines. These magazines were printed on cheap paper and had stories that were often short and sensational. Writers had to work within strict limits on story length, usually around 5,000 words, and the pay was very low, sometimes only a few dollars per story. Editors were picky and often rejected stories that didn't fit their narrow ideas of what science fiction should be. Getting a story into a magazine was tough. Writers had to submit many stories before getting accepted, and even then, they might only see a few dollars for their work. It was a gamble, and many talented writers gave up because they couldn't make a living from their stories. Things started to change in the 1950s. The rise of paperback books made science fiction more accessible to the public. New publishers began to see the genre as profitable, and authors like Isaac Asimov and Robert Heinlein gained popularity. Still, science fiction was not fully accepted as serious literature, and many editors kept a cautious eye on the genre. By the 1960s, the scene shifted again. More publishers and editors became interested in science fiction. Influential editors like Michael Moorcock helped shape the genre into something more literary and diverse. The emergence of the New Wave movement encouraged writers to experiment with new ideas and styles. Writers like Philip K. Dick and Kurt Vonnegut started to explore social issues and cultural themes, which drew in a broader audience. This decade marked a turning point. Science fiction was no longer just pulp stories for kids. It became a respected part of the literary world, and getting published became a little easier for talented writers willing to push boundaries. The 1960s set the stage for the genre's growth, making it more mainstream and opening doors for future authors. So, early science fiction authors faced many hurdles. They had to work hard to get their stories published in magazines with strict rules and low pay. But, as the genre grew in popularity and respect, it became easier for new writers to find a place for their ideas. The 1960s really helped turn science fiction into the influential art form it is today.